Hey, it's Tigo Venturi, Venturi Realty Group, Keller Williams Realty with a weekly market update. I want to say weekly because I've got a lot of weekly numbers here, but we're going to look at not just what's happening in Albuquerque, but a couple of macro things I wanted to share that I think are pretty important to know when you're thinking about what is going on in the real estate market right now. As you may know, the real estate market, wow, I mean, like all-time low interest rates, all-time low inventory here in Albuquerque, all-time high prices here in Albuquerque. A lot of all-time things going on right now in the real estate market, and demand has held very strong here locally. But this is one of the macro charts I wanted to share with you because it really shows what's going on nationally. This chart, and I pulled it off of investing.com here because they do a good job spelling this out. This is mortgage purchase applications. Mortgage Bankers Association puts this out every week, and they tell you, what's been going on with mortgage purchase. Obviously, we had that big downturn in April where, people just kind of put a pause on everything. But what we've seen is it came roaring back. Again, this is mortgage applications. The thing I like about this, it's a leading indicator of where the real estate market is going, right? If people, it gauges buyer demand. It gauges, are people still out there wanting to buy homes? And currently, the case is that yes, they are. And I've got another chart that's specific to Albuquerque that I'll show you here just in a moment. The other thing that I just want to put out there, again, from a macro national standpoint, this report, it comes out by a company called Black Knight. They do this mortgage monitor. They're one of the premier groups that look at the health of the mortgage market, basically. One of the things they found, and this is fascinating, if you look at this chart is tappable equity. And tappable equity, meaning, how much equity people have in their homes and can actually like refinance or cash out or take a HELOC out on. It's at an all-time high. And so when people talk about, oh no, here we go, we're building up to another 2007, 2008, where we're going to have this crash and people can't sell their houses and we're going to have this flood of foreclosures. I will tell you, the evidence does not point to that at this point. There's everything indicate. I mean, this is just one of them, but there's a bunch of other things, demographic data, and I don't want to get into weeds on it, but there's so much data that suggests that we're just not going to get that. The big wild card out there now is the impact of layoff, the job loss on the overall economy, and if that's going to come into the housing market, the purchase side of the housing market. I think it's very clear that it's going to affect the rental market, unfortunately, and that's just, it looks like that's going to happen. This little quote right here, just hidden here, pretty interesting thing is that 90% of homeowners have tappable equity in their homes. You know what that means is even those people that are in the situation where they haven't been able to make their mortgage payments and they have to move on, they'll be able to sell their home. That doesn't mean that it's going to go in foreclosure. And I keep seeing these stories that say, I don't remember what the number. It's a huge number. It's like 4% of mortgages are in delinquency. It's a big number. But just because they're in delinquency does not automatically equal that's going to be a foreclosure in the future. So that's one of the things I want to point it out. Okay, Albuquerque, local, a couple local things here. First off, Showing Time is our local service that we use for the showing the lock boxes on home. If you've ever looked at homes, we have these lock boxes. They go in the house, open and close them, keep the keys. All realtors that are authorized can use those. And what this gauges is the number of time those boxes are open. I should make this a little bigger. I just realized how tiny this is. So you can see that even let's see. So when did we shut down? Somewhere right in here. So you can see we went from, the thing that's interesting, the foot traffic was already slower. And I'm sorry, the gold line here, or orange line, whatever color that is, that's this year. Then the blue line is last year. And I think this is a 90-day moving, or maybe it's a 7-day moving. Oh, there it is right there. 7-day moving of the actual foot traffic, as I call it. This is, the number of showings, the number of buyers that are out there looking at homes. Obviously, we had a big downturn in March and April. It's, come back. In fact, even went over last year. We had a kind of a normal. You can see it happened last year as well. We had a downturn right around the 4th of July, less people out there looking. And then it's come back. And it's interesting because last year it started to wane this time of year, which is pretty common. But you can see this year we still have people out there looking at homes. And we are seeing this year that people are looking at less homes than they have in past years. So they're doing a lot more online shopping, photos. I will say the quality of photos, virtual tours, all that has gone up on homes for sale, which is great. I love that. The more virtual tours we can get, the better. That way people can spend less time actually in houses and looking at houses. Although you got to do that, right? You got to feel the house. You got to feel the neighborhood. You got to know what's going on. Okay. Market update, real time. This is a weekly report. This is today's latest number. It got compiled over the weekend. We're currently looking at just Albuquerque proper, the city of Albuquerque. If you come, by the way, this is on our website, welcomehomeabq.com. If you come to here, real-time market conditions, it's broken down by cities and zip codes. But right now we're looking at the city of Albuquerque, obviously the broadest indicator we have. So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit and let's see. Oh, somebody's posting something there. I got a pop-up. Market profile, kind of run down all the important numbers: median price, price per square foot, days on market, how many homes had a price decrease, how many homes had a price increase, what we really see, how many homes came back on the market, that's this relisted. And all of these charts are 90 days, and it's the numbers you see are 90-day moving average. Now, if we really want to get in more detail on this, we can come down here and look at these charts as either a 90-day or a 7-day. The dotted line here is a 7-day. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit more. The dotted line is the 7-day, and the solid line is the 90-day. If we look at this chart, we're looking at median list price. You'll see that the 7-day average is above the 90-day, so we'll continue to see an increase in median price for listed homes. Again, we're talking about listed homes for sale, active, not closed. Again, so this is a leading indicator of where the market is going. And you'll see, obviously, we've had this big move in the last, since the beginning of the year, basically. It's continued to go up. And we saw this in February before we went into pandemic stage. We were seeing that, oh my gosh, this market is heating up big time. And obviously we had the big drop off in March in sales activity, but prices have continued to get pushed up. Median. Now, one thing that's interesting about this, we went from 279 last year to, what are we looking at here? It's 355, 356 right now. And I did the math, 21.6% increase in median list price from last year. To me, that's kind of a scary number because that's not sustainable. And so the other number I like to look at is average price per square foot, because that median number, obviously less lower price homes on the market, more higher price homes on the market, that's going to drive up the median, obviously. But let's look at price per square foot. If we go from last year, the 90-day moving average, to this year, again, this is price per square foot, that was a 12% increase. And you can see that here now over the last few months that the 7-day average is outpacing the 98-day average. So we continue to see price per square foot pushed every week after week, and we'll see. I know going into late summer, it always pulls back a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. Just one other thing I wanted to show you here. I skipped over it really quick. Is this market action index? This is what does somebody call it? It's the small geek chart. Very simple way to gauge where the market is. This is an algorithm that looks at all the different indicators, supply, demand, and puts together a speedometer thing here that shows you, okay, are we in a seller's market or a buy? Up here we're in a seller's market. Down here we're in a buyer's market, and this is the 90-day moving average. You can see that we've continued, and if I go down here, break it down even more, we've seen a continued surge in that it's continued to be pushed further into a stronger seller's market. Has not moved back at all recently. Now you can see the 7-day average, it changes week to week, but overall you can see we've had a push up in that. Now look at this. When we go back last couple of years, back in, let's see, May, June. Yeah, so this was June. So it peaked out in May, and then it starts to pull back. That's normal. We normally see a little bit of a pullback going into later summer. Same thing happened here. Yep, it was the strongest seller's market was in May. Now this year we've already passed that, and we continue to increase. So, with the pandemic, with everything that's happened, it's not that the market stopped. It's just been pushed out a little bit further. So a lot of information here. I think I just want to say that everything I'm watching, I'm following all the big economists that look at the housing market, and there's really nobody. There's one out of 20 that are predicting prices to go down next year or in the next 12 months. But even that person, it's almost like they're not taking into account kind of the demand story. They're just looking at the fact that we've got all this job loss out there, and that that's got to catch up at some point. Everything else I'm seeing, everybody's talking about the fact that basically, we've got this whole thing in economics where they talk about the V or the W, right? Most people in the real estate space right now are saying V, housing market V. We had our V. You saw that chart with April way down. Everything's back off to the races. So it's just kind of the way it's looking. So if you have any questions about the real estate market, Albuquerque in particular, I'm your guy. Love doing this. Love talking about the market and following and try to keep. I'm a real estate owner, right? I own rental properties. My wife and I, Tracy, we own a bunch of rental properties. Obviously, we own our home. I want to feel confident when I'm talking to people about investing in real estate, either for themselves or long term. And right now, I still feel very good about where we are, and at least at this point, don't see any indicators of it pulling back in prices. Thanks. Take care.